Yeah, you are duly registered. Thank you.
Today is the 15th annual Backroads of the South Shore Symposium. We've been having this symposium in order to share local history with a local audience. The Backroads of the South Shore was founded to promote local history. Originally, the idea was to highlight historical societies and museums on Route 3A, which was the historic highway in the region until Route 3 was put in. And Route 3, of course, now bypasses many of the historic town centers. So this organization, Backroads of the South Shore, tries to get people to connect with the local history, helps them navigate to some of the local museums that we have. And this is such a rich cultural and historical area. We have 20 organizations that stretch from Weymouth down here to Plymouth, and we operate between us over 25 historic sites. We choose a theme each year for the symposium, and we try to find speakers who can touch on some aspect of that theme. And often we're looking for themes that will complement research that's happening right now. So it's a chance not for people to have to go out and create new research, but actually to share to a broader audience the work they're already doing at their historical sites or small museums. Our theme is cross-cultural encounters, and we have local historians who are able to share with us some of their own research.
It's great to have the representation from the small organizations. Most of the historical societies, the museums, the historic houses in the Backroads are all small, local organizations dedicated to local history. It's always a challenge to make history come alive. We have such a rich history in this area, but there's so many different aspects to it, whether it's a walk through a cemetery, a historic house, a public program, or a symposium like this. There's so many different ways to explore history, through music or food, through the objects, the artifacts, the documents, and the photographs. It's finding the right audience, finding the right story, and matching it to that right audience to really bring history alive. Knowing the history, particularly of our area, which stretches back 1,000 years from the original Native American people who lived here, through the colonists, through the 19th and 20th centuries, you can trace this genealogy through the land itself, from the pathways that the Native Americans traveled, which became our roads and highways, through the shipbuilding industry, through the shoe industry, through the different groups of people that moved in, which is what will be one of our focuses today, is the sort of connections of the South Shore with different parts of the world. This is an amazing combination of people in this area, and it helps to add the richness to the history. And as we go into the 21st century, we're now approaching the 2020, we'll start to really pay attention to this history. Pay attention to how the landscape has changed, how history has changed here, and what we can do to preserve our history for the future.
Plymouth and the South Shore, of course, gets a lot of coverage for its 17th century history, starting with the Pilgrims, Plymouth Colony, Massachusetts Bay Colony. But we like to highlight in our historical societies and museums all of the later history. So what was happening in Scituate or Marshfield or Pembroke or Norwell in the 19th century, in the 18th century, in the early 20th century. And if you're interested in local history, it's a great way to connect with the organizations in your communities who are doing local history, preserving local history, and sharing it. I'm currently serving as co-chair of the Backroads of the South Shore, and our different organizations will rotate through that chair. So it's not one organization leading the Backroads. It depends on who's able to put in a little extra time. So the contacts change a little bit, but you can always find more information on our website, which is brss.org.
Welcome, Victoria Stevens.